Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the fat loss tips that no one really ever talks about. And if you are stuck on your weight loss journey, or if you are just starting anew, maybe this is a video that can help you, especially with topics that you might not have heard before. So all of the information in this video is from my own personal experience as well as my clients as well. And I would like to share this video because I really think this stuff goes under the radar, and I think a lot of the stuff that we will be talking in this video is not really spoken about. So if you are here looking for something like the top 5 superfoods to accelerate your fat loss, this probably isn't the video for you. So how this is going to work is I'm going to run through the common problem that we generally see, and then at the end of that tip or the end of that number, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through the solution or the tool you can use in order to combat it. So hopefully this video is a comprehensive look for you in case you get stuck along your journey, or perhaps preparing you for a better journey if you're just starting out. Number 1, find an accountability partner or a community. Now, you have to find somebody who's like-minded enough, or at least has the same goals as you. They don't have to be particularly doing the exact same thing, but just having someone there, whether they be on the same journey or not, just makes them feel like, well, they're in your corner. And I know sometimes it can feel like a very, very lonely journey. So having somebody there, especially when all of a sudden they ask you, hey, how's your workout going, can make a huge difference. Because even if they're not keeping track of you every single step of the way, knowing that somebody is doing it with you, knowing that somebody is there with you, knowing that you're not alone can make a huge difference in the journey that you have, and can most of the time actually skyrocket your chances of success going forward. I recommend asking people you trust, whether it be friends or family, and knowing whether it be maybe a time thing, maybe every week, hey, just check up with me, see how I'm doing, or you can look on online communities or online forums. Hint, hint, we have a Discord just in case you guys are looking for people who are on the same journey, maybe with like-minded stuff, and obviously people you want to mesh along with as well. Number 2, try everything. Don't get caught up on one single solution. And a lot of time, I know it can be super tempting to get caught up in one single thing because it seems like that's the answer for everyone. For a long time, I assumed calories were the answer for me, and I kept lowering them. And don't be wrong, it makes sense. I mean, the more you lower your calories, the more weight you should lose. But I kept lowering them to the point where it just got troublesome for no reason. And it wasn't until I started focusing on my sleep that all of a sudden things just became easier. Look, sleep is so important, but for me in particular, it may not be for you, but maybe there is a different part of the equation. And the fat loss equation is simple, don't get me wrong. There's a couple of things in and out that you may have to change a little bit, and all of the parameters are generally the same. However, the one difference when it comes to the fat loss equation is you. You yourself are an individual. You have differences in who you are. So whether it be things like sleep, whether it be things like stress, maybe habits, maybe mindset, there's so many things that can change and so many things that are so much different, for you than for someone else. So maybe the thing that worked for someone else won't work for you. So the number one thing you can do is keep trying different things. Keep trying different things, see what they work, and when you do find something that works, maybe look back and see what else you can change. The fat loss equation is always changing because you yourself are always changing as well. So do keep that in mind. Foundation before the paint. Okay, I see this happening a lot, and I mean a lot. And what I mean by this in particular is that a lot of us are starting with the little details rather than the bigger picture. And I'm about to give you an example. It's like you picking the paint for your house, like the paint for the walls, and you haven't even built the foundation of the house yet. A lot of us are looking at like these superfoods, or top 5 superfoods, or top 5 exercises for this, when we don't even have the movement routine down yet. We don't even have a clean diet to start with yet, or possibly we don't even understand nutrition for ourselves just yet. A lot of the time we are jumping into things and looking at the minuscule details when they don't really matter right now if your foundation isn't there. So instead, focus on the foundational things. And there are a few things that are always foundational, whether it be your morning routine, your evening routine, whether it be your water, whether it be your movement patterns, maybe just your overall pattern of eating. Are you skipping meals, meal timing? There's so many different components when it comes to it. So before you look into something like, hey, blueberries are really good for you, or raspberries are really good for you, that's true, but also look at what foundational principles you're missing first before you dive into things like picking a paint. Number 4, the law of diminishing returns. So if you're just starting your health journey, or possibly if you're further in your health journey, you're gonna come across what we call a plateau. Some call it a block, and some call it delayed gratification. And what it really is that the more work you put in at the beginning, you're gonna see a greater amount of results right away, especially at the beginning because it's new to your system. However, as you get better with this habit, this skill, or whatever you want to call it, you're going to notice that the results get less and less over time. And as you dive a little bit deeper into the trenches, as you dive a little bit deeper into really understanding what you need, you're going to find that the results come back slower and slower and slower every single time. And this is very normal. As you get better with something, there's less and less to return on it. And one of the things that I recommend for this is definitely look at the factors that you have. Sure, workouts and nutrition are a great place to start, but if you're experiencing a plateau, if you're experiencing that diminishing return, what I recommend is look at the different factors that you do have. So whether it be things like sleep, whether it be things like your stress, or possibly even your morning and evening routines, what other things can you work on right now while you've already gotten the workouts and the nutrition down? What else can you focus on in order to move your fat loss along just a little bit more in order to change that law of diminishing return, or at least to change the amount of results you're getting back from your work? Start small for big changes. The boss level. A lot of us are jumping into the boss level. A lot of us are jumping into level 20 when we haven't even started the game yet. And this is huge. We look at people on Instagram, we look at people on TikTok, we look at people on YouTube, and before we know it, we try to jump into their routine. We try to jump into the exact same thing that they're doing, but we don't realize how many hours they put in. We don't realize how much time they put in. We don't realize where they are in their game right now. So we cannot be doing the same thing. And in fact, when we do try to do that, we actually make the process even longer and harder for ourselves because we keep assuming that that is the answer. And I've done it so many times, like so many times, that I can tell you it just makes your journey way longer, because you start this new skill, this new habit that you're trying to implement into your life. And all of a sudden, maybe you keep it up for a week, maybe a month, and then before you know it, you can't upkeep it. Everything goes completely south, and then all of a sudden, you have to start the journey over again. But had you just started with the small habits to begin with, you would have been much further along in your journey because you're building habits rather than just trying to attain someone else's habits. Those habits aren't particularly yours right now. In fact, you're just trying to make something yours, but instead create something that is you and unique to you. And oftentimes when we start small, we would have been actually way further by the same time we would have failed the big one that we tried. So as an example, let's say you want to start working out. Cool. Let's slow it down a little bit. Why don't we just start with daily movement? How about some walks? You want a nutrition plan? Cool. How about we actually start with just one meal a day, whether it be breakfast, whether it be lunch, whether it be something like dinner. You want better overall habits? How about just a better morning routine? Starting small is one of the strongest ways and one of the most surefire ways to create routine for the rest of your journey as well as the rest of your life. So before you dive into these big grandiose things and big habits that you want to implement right away, look small. Start small, because those big changes will come much faster than if you're just jumping into the boss level. Number 6, focus on your recovery. Now, when I say recovery, I don't mean just physical recovery. I mean your mental, possibly your emotional, or even your spiritual recovery as well. Because if you've been going very hard, let's say in the gym, you're gonna need a couple of rest days. You're gonna need some recovery. And I don't mean just not going to the gym at all. Maybe plan some time, whether it be a massage, whether it be a cold like ice shower bath or something, or like a cryotherapy. There's so many things that I think we disregard, especially when it comes to recovery or when it comes to breaks. If you've been going very hard in your nutrition plan, for example, maybe give yourself a bit of a treat meal. Maybe give yourself a bit of a cheat meal or a cheat snack, if you want to call it. Sometimes that mental break or sometimes that physical break can be just enough to push you into the next level of what you're doing, because you're actually taking care of your body or your mind or your spirit. There are so many things that I think we disregard because we're always going in. We're always going 100% all or nothing. But you taking breaks will actually push you along much further. In fact, this is rather, if we're talking about this is almost like consistency versus intensity. A lot of us will go into the gym very first day and give 150% the very first day, but then you're sore for like 4 or 5 days and you won't work out for the rest of the week. But if you just went in on the first day and you did, let's say 60%, you would have done 60% every single day because you wouldn't have been sore enough to not go back. And guess what? That consistency, that habit, you would have been in the gym many more times, you would have gotten more volume in, and you would have done just more work compared to had you just gone 150% the very first day. I think we want to change the word of recovery. I think we want to change the look of recovery, because recovery doesn't mean just not doing anything. Recovery can just mean a change in what you are doing. So let's say you are going to the gym, maybe go for a hike instead. Maybe you've been eating the same foods over and over again. Don't just skip to something bad, maybe skip to something different instead. Maybe change it to a different protein, a different vegetable, a different grain, whatever it is. I think the more more that we can change it, the more we give ourselves that recovery of doing the same thing over and over again, the more results we can see. Because one, well, it changes it for us, so we're not getting bored, and two, you'll actually be able to progress along further because you know you're not going all or 100 the entire time. Number 7, schedule or adapt your plan. Don't just add in stuff. And what I mean by this is a lot of us will add in stuff to our schedule without really understanding how much time it takes, and then we get overwhelmed because we're adding things in. So if I had to give you a great example, let's say you want to meal prep. Let's say you want to start meal planning for the entire week. Okay, cool. When are you grocery shopping? When are you actually cooking the food? When are you going to be eating your meals? And how much time is that all going to take you? And in addition to how much time is it going to take you, what do you need to subtract from, let's say, Sunday when you go grocery shopping in order to make this work? And be honest with yourself. Do you have to subtract maybe some social media time? Do you have to subtract maybe some TV time? Maybe you have to subtract something else in your life in order to make this work. And I find a lot of us, we make the mistake because we're always adding things into our lives. But a lot of us have the same 24 hours. A lot of us have the same amount of time that we need to get things done. So if you're adding in a thing like food prep, for example, and all of a sudden that takes an hour out of your life, where is that hour being taken from? Do you lose an hour of sleep? Do you lose an hour of TV time? Do you lose an hour of being on social media? Do you lose an hour of maybe work if you can do that? There are so many different things that I think this adding or subtraction or limiting that we have to take into account when we're adding things, especially for our health, because it might not just be that 1 hour. If you're meal prepping, if you're grocery shopping, how tired are you going to be after meal prepping? Do you need a break after that? Do you need to take a 30-minute break? Do you need to take an hour break and just chill? There are so many things I think when it comes to adding these new components to our life that we don't just schedule or adapt properly that really hold us back. So the next time you're about to add something in, whether it be the same new workout, whether it be the same morning routine, whether it be a nutrition plan, whether it be a meal prepping, it is a huge thing to look at the sum of all the hours you have and really find something that works, because you're subtracting but also adding something into your life as well. Don't just keep adding. And also, in addition to this, be honest with yourself. Be really honest. Like, do you have to cut TV time? Do you have to cut social media time? If you do, cool. Maybe something else is more important than this. But the more honest you can be with yourself, especially for this step, the less you'll be overwhelmed because you're adding something in and trying to make it work rather than actually adapting it to your schedule and fitting it into your life. And that, guys, was the fat loss tips that no one ever tells you about. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below of what fat loss ones, well, you got from this video, which ones really made a big difference to you, or what aha moments you've gotten, or if you have any tips that you didn't see on here, please also leave them below so you can help other people as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. That was good. That was good.